Today we'll be reviewing what I consider the best money market fund in Kenya, and this is where I personally place my short-term investment funds. Obviously, in the future, we'll discuss other asset classes and how I invest them. So today we'll be going through the application form just to understand how you fill this form for a complete beginner. So as I mentioned, there are three types of products for unit trusts. You have money market funds, which is Pesa Plus, you have your balance fund, and you have your equity funds. Today we're interested in the money market fund. So in this section, you tick on Pesa Plus. Then if this is the first time you're dealing with Sanlam, this would be a new account. Otherwise, you put in your membership number there. In this place, you'd append the passport photo. And just to mention, in this day and age of terrorism and money laundering, companies and governments have taken stringent measures to ensure that the people they are dealing with are genuine people who have genuine funds. So that's why we require to provide all the documents requested so that you can be cleared for opening of the account. So there you'll need the passport photo. When it comes to the details, these I think are pretty straightforward. You'll need your mobile number. This is the father's name, your first name, and then your other name. This is the date when you filled in the form. Then you select the option of either an ID or a passport number, whichever is available to you. You need the PIN number for your KRA PIN. You will need the postal address where you need mail sent to you if need be, and the code. The country here is the country where you come from. The email address, this is your personal email address. This is where you'll be receiving monthly statements from Sanlam, and they also send market intelligence reports, which is a very nice add-on to their customers. You'd indicate here what your employment status is. For example, if you're employed, then you'd have your employer name, their postal address, their physical address, and so on. Then here you'd have to deal with ticking in the box of whether you're male or female for your gender and your occupation, the marital status, whether you're single, married, divorced, or other. Taxable. Most of us will be taxable unless you qualify under the tax law to be exempted from taxes, in which case you'll be required to attach a tax exemption certificate. In terms of residence, if you are born in Kenya, and basically if you're a citizen of Kenya, then you're a resident, unless you're not in Kenya within the period specified by the tax law. And this is the industry in which you work in. As I said, money laundering is a risk, and therefore Sanlam would want to know what's the source of your funds. So you'd tick on the respective box here, and if the source of your funds are not within these categories, then you'd have to specify what type of income this is. So for example, if you're a farmer, then you can talk about agriculture here, or if you have a business. Your customer bank details, these are important because this is where funds will come to you. So if you prefer to be paid monthly interest, it will be remitted to this bank. And again, this is also part of the know your client procedures. So you need to put in your account name as it appears in your ATM card, your account number, the bank name, the branch, the SWIFT code. This is very important if you're doing international transfers, the bank code if you know it, and then you'd put the type of your account. I'd prefer working with a current account, and then you'd append your signature here for purposes of your bank details. The next step here is to look at the investment details, and today we've already said that we'll be interested in the Pesa Plus product, so you'd input the amount of money you'd wish to start with. You can refer to the video in the blog post where I discussed how monthly contributions and initial investments can grow up to very huge numbers if you are consistent and you allow compounding to take effect. Sanlam have one of the lowest minimum investment requirements. 2,500 are the famous Kenya shillings 84 per month. So this is where you input the details of how much you want to start with, and then that amount again in words. I would recommend that you put in a standing order so that you automate this investment decision. You don't want to rely on your willpower or your discipline to do the investments. And for me personally, that was one of the biggest revelations in terms of investing. Because if you, for example, decide to be writing checks or even doing M-Pesa payments, you need to have that willpower and discipline to do this every time. And then the other important thing to mention here is, for example, with M-Pesa, the charges do add up, and we'll discuss in another video the effect of fees. So that's why I tend to recommend a direct transfer, preferably through a standing order. And then obviously one of the purposes of money market funds is emergency withdrawal. So for emergency withdrawal, take M-Pesa, because again you need that money in e-money form if need be. We obviously want to reinvest our interest so that we can take advantage of the power of compounding. The next section here talks about the bank account details. So these are the details of where you'll send the money to for the initial investment that has been discussed up there. What I would like to mention is their banker is Stanbic Bank, so it helps if you bank with Stanbic, because then you will save on the standing order charges or the bank transfer charges. Then the next thing we note here is the pay bill number. So for your first transfer, if you elect to choose to use M-Pesa, then at that point you don't have an account number, so the account number will be 5 zeros, with this being the pay bill number. You want the free email option. This section deals with the beneficiaries. Well, if there was anything that happened to you, these are the people who would receive these funds. You want to put in as much details as possible to allow Sanlam in this case to be able to contact the beneficiaries. Have you previously invested in Sanlam? If you are new, this would be no. Are you an employee of Sanlam? I guess that depends with you. How did you hear about Sanlam? That would be the internet. This blog post, you can put a mention there to us. And then this is where you sign again, your signature and your name and the date that you've completed the form. You will need these documents, otherwise your account won't be opened. You'll need a copy of your national ID that has been certified, your passport size photo that has been certified, a copy of the PIN certificate, again certified. If you qualify for tax exemption, then you'll need the certificate as I mentioned, and the completed risk assessment form, which I'll cover in the next video. Then you'll need proof of your banking details. So this can be a copy of your ATM card. I recommend that you only copy the top page or the top part of your ATM for safety purposes, or provide an original cancelled check or the copy of your bank statement. The next thing you need is the utility bill. Again, this is to help Sanlam identify you as a genuine person. And if you don't have a utility bill, then you'd complete the residential address inquiry form, which again we'll cover in a separate video. And then for your account to be opened, again you'll need the proof of investment. That can be the M-Pesa transaction number if you elected to use M-Pesa, the check, or an RTGS. So, and then for purposes of you remember in this section I was talking about certification. I, for example, Sanlam have done background checks to verify that I am a genuine person, and the fact that I also invest with them, I can certify the documents on your behalf. So that's why I've signed this document, but then you'd have to contact me for me to sign the originals. Otherwise, the other option would be to use a lawyer, which actually is not a bad option, to certify true copies of the originals, and then you can scan those and use them in all the other applications that you use in your life. And that's the end of how to apply.